Hello and welcome to PolyLearn Support. This video is going to show you how to create and use the schedule activity for your PolyLearn course. The first thing you need to do is turn editing on, which is in the upper right hand corner of your course view. Now you can choose which block you want to create your schedule under and then select Add an Activity or Resource. Choose Scheduler and select Add. Now you can name the scheduler and add an introduction. I will name the scheduler In-Person Meeting Scheduler, and it doesn't need an introduction. The first few options are pretty important. The first option is the label for the role of the person who attends the students. This does not necessarily have to be the professor. You can also decide if students are allowed to register more than one appointment, either in the scheduler at all or at a time. The next question is whether or not you want to let groups be booked altogether, if the appointment should actually even be with groups. The guard time is a period of time in which appointments cannot be made or canceled anymore. So if a student has an appointment at noon and the guard time is set for 2 hours, the student will not be able to cancel their appointment after 10 a.m. This also would prevent anyone from booking an appointment less than 2 hours away. The next option is simply how long each appointment should be. I'll leave mine at 15 minutes since that seems like an appropriate amount of time. We can add break time in later, so this number is simply how long you would want each meeting with your students to last. The next tab is all straightforward grading options, where you can choose how to grade each student or group's appointment if you even want to grade it. The next tab is helpful if you want some preliminary information before the appointment starts. If you decide to use a booking form, simply switch the first option to yes, and input the instructions you want the students to see before they can book the appointment. Then you can decide if you want students to have the option to respond or are forced to respond with either a file upload or a written message. The rest of the tabs are all self-explanatory, so now we will scroll to the bottom of the page and hit Save and Display. On this page, we can see many different things. The most important is at the bottom, there's a list of all the students that do not have appointments. You can see above the Send Invitation and Send Reminder buttons. There are 3 main ways to create appointments. The first option is to create a bunch of time slots and then let your students sign up for whichever one works for them. This is done by hitting the Add Slots button next to Actions. To create many time slots at a time, hit Add Repeated Slots. On this page, the first option is the date. You can either set a range of dates or just a single date, as is the default. For this one, we are going to set the range from today, Tuesday, until the next Friday. The next option you'll see is the day selection. Whatever days you want to have appointments on should be selected here. Even if you are only adding a single day's worth of appointments, the correct date must still be checked here. However, I don't have time to do appointments on Thursdays, so I will uncheck that day. The next option is quite simple. It is just selecting when you are available on those days, so I will put from 10 a.m. to noon. Now you will see your default appointment time followed by a break. I will keep the 15 minutes we set earlier, but also add a 5-minute break after each one. The rest of the options are very self-explanatory, except for Force When Overlap, which I recommend you leave blank. If you are ever confused about an option, simply click on the question mark by the option to read about it. Now scroll to the bottom of the page and select Save Changes. Back on the main page, we will see our appointments from today until Friday, but skipping Thursday since I deselected that day. There is also the option to only add a single appointment, which we will go over now. To do this, again select the Add Slots button, but now select the Add Single Slot option. On this page, you can make just a single appointment slot. I will put one on Thursday since I do have a little time at 1. So I'll pick the correct date and times and then add my appointment. At the bottom of the page, you will see that you can assign a student to this appointment. This can be helpful if you already know who wants that time slot or if it is a special appointment. I will not do that yet, so I will hit the Save Changes button. And back on the main page, you can see the appointment we just added. At the bottom of this page, we can see all the students in the class. They will be able to pick their own appointment, or if you want to assign them, that is very easy also. To do this, simply select a student who you want to assign an appointment to, and then click the Schedule button. You can either say you've already seen them, or hit the Schedule in Slot button to book them. Now you see a screen very similar to the one where we just added a single appointment. You could create the appointment here, but since we already have all of our appointments made, we will just add them to an existing slot. I'll go with Wednesday at 11. To do this, open the drop-down menu under Choose Existing and select the appointment you want. Then scroll to the bottom of the page and select Save Changes. Now back on the main screen, we can see that the student was added to that appointment time. That's all for the scheduler activity, and if you have any more questions, please visit our PolyLearn support website at polylearnsupport.calpoly.edu.